Hello folks, this has gone Spy. The Spy will come to you live for our next announcement. As soon as this announcement is complete, I'll be able to finally get started with posting videos from the Command Conquer 3 Tiberian Wars, then from the non-campaign series. I know you guys have been dying to be able for me to post a video from that, same mission from last time. So, I haven't exactly finished the introductions of the pendulum monsters or the pendulum summoning method, or about this protagonist, about Yuya Sakaki. As I've let me pull this up again. Here it is. As I've already mentioned, and the details, Yuya Sakaki is the new hero or last generation protagonist hero. His dream is to be able to follow his father's footsteps and to become an Yu-Gi-Oh dual tainer. So, and his speciality to be able to summon monsters at the same time with his new technique of the pendulum summon method, the pendulum monsters. And as I've already said, the pendulum monsters not only act as monster cards, but also can be able to act as continue magic cards to be able to either use to power up your own monsters or to be able to do some disruption on the opponent's side of the field, or to be able to protect your cards from card effects on your side of the field with your pendulum monsters effects. Now, when you have a pendulum monster on the field, and when it's destroyed, it doesn't go to the graveyard, it goes to the extra deck face up instead of face down. So that's pretty much the kicker about pendulum monsters, because they actually never die, and that is actually pretty much a good advantage you could have against average opponents that doesn't know about pendulum summoning methods. But those that is the elite duelist or a pro duelist. That duelist will be able to be able to summon as his own monsters of his own technique skills, which is probably the point of view that pendulum monster summon method could be an equal to that pro duelist's dueling style of any method, because of his own way how to summon his own many monsters. Like this one time when I have watched this real life duel between the actor that plays Yusei Fudo, and then there's the actor of Yuya Sakaki. Even though that Yusei doesn't know anything about pendulum monsters, as you guys probably already know about his reputation and his dueling skills, he has his own way to be able to summon as many monsters as his own possible ways from his own dueling skills without using pendulum monsters. Now, I'm not going to get further into the details of that duel, but I will be telling you of Yuya Sakaki and about the pendulum monster summoning method. Now, in the anime of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc-v, Yuya is just pretty much like any other dreamer duelist. Now, for incidents of events about his father disappearing, about unknown causes, it was up to Yuya to be able to carry out his name and to be able to carve his own dueling image. to be able to find his own way of dueling. Now, Pendulum Monster summoning, that is his own dueling method. And Pendulum Monsters that's on the field can act as many of their own special abilities on the field, than more so than ever does in their own Pendulum scales. Like, for instance, half of the Pendulum species monsters of the Yu-Gi-Oh game has a special ability to be able to make a contact fusion. Crazy, right? And they can even act on its own fusion materials without the need of a polymerization card. And that's because of one of the few methods of special ability of Pendulum Monster scales, of its own special ability of acting as a continuous spell cards. And furthermore so, Pendulum Monsters can also pretty much surprisingly act as tuner monsters. Yeah, I know, insane. and when they now, here's the kicker here. If you either ritual summon sacrificing monsters on the field that are Pendulum Monsters, as I already explained before, when they're on the field, they don't go to the graveyard no matter what. They go to the extra deck face up. If you're going to ritual sacrifice them as ritual summon tributes on the field, but if they're in your hand, then they go to the graveyard. That's how the kicker is. Now here's the thing. Pendulum Monsters has levels like any other monsters. So in other words, they can even act as exceased materials for an exceased monster, and be treated as exceased material cards, as overlay units. Now, if a detached exceased materials is being one of those Pendulum Monsters, they go to the graveyard and not in the extra deck. And that's pretty much about how I'm going to be saying on that subject, because I've seen more times than one to see that Pendulum Monsters can pretty much act as exceased materials overlay units. If they've been detached from the exceased monster, they don't go to the extra deck, they go to the graveyard if they've been detached and exceased materials as overlay units. Now, as for the kicker about tuner monsters being Pendulum Monsters at the same time, if you had that same tuner monster, Pendulum Monster, that synchro summons with another Pendulum Monster, they don't go to the graveyard, they go to the extra deck. It's why I've been trying to tell you there's many crazy things going on about Pendulum Monsters that I was able to catch to even understand about how this whole pendulum thing works with Pendulum Monsters and scales and such. Well, personally, I prefer doing things in the old-fashioned way of how I duel. It's pretty much about how half of the duels in this game does their own thing without having to do Pendulum Monster summoning method. Now, the kicker about fusion. If that monster has the special ability to do a contact fusion and fuses together with another Pendulum Monster that's on the field, they don't go to the graveyard, they go to the extra deck. Yeah. And ever since that Arc-v came into the game, it's been producing cards of spells that could be able to do some crazy things with Pendulum Monsters, that can be special summoned from graveyards if they somehow enter the graveyard, or better yet, use some spell cards to be able to take some Pendulum cards from the extra deck and to be able to shuffle back to the deck, or to put back into your hand, or better yet, to be able to replace the to be able to add one of those particular cards to select into one of those square boxes for Pendulum Scale set. Now, as I've already been blabbering on about a Pendulum Monster summoning method and a Pendulum goes to the graveyard and such, I'm going to be telling you a couple of things about this protagonist that is known as Yuya Sakaki, that's the wielder of Pendulum of Monster summoning method. Now, his dueling style has always been unique. Not as quite as nearly as unique as you say Jane or Yugimoto or something like that. But he has his own way to be able to duel. His dueling method's always been able to somehow bring a smile to everyone's faces about duel monsters. To be able to enjoy themselves, to be able to learn how to be able to be entertained, to have fun, to be able to smile, and the duels of being entertained. You see, not only Yuya's dueling style is to be able to bring smiles to the people, but his monsters is basically filled up with monsters that's from the circus. So basically, he's pretty much a jester protagonist that brings smiles to everyone and to be able to try. And that's really not a bad thing when you're trying to think about it. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has always been enjoyment of fun and to be able to bring how to be honorable in duels or in his own ways of how to be able to duel. But some people in this anime seem to forgot that and to focus on the negative emotions. That's just not going to cut it. And this is where Yuya comes in. Yuya Sakaki has always been a knack of somehow be able to bring enjoyment to the hearts of the people and to make them how to smile and not to have to be glooming or negativity or anger or feeling depressed or amongst other things or feeling afraid about anything. It's because they were able to smile and to be able to enjoy themselves and to be able to understand the feeling of the duel, to have fun, the enjoyment of the journey, of the fun of just beginning, catchphrase, method. It's practically one of the main beneficial, that's probably the main beneficial reasons why I like about Yuya Sakaki. That's probably the only thing about him is that I like about. It's because he was able to somehow, in the anime, he has some losses on dueling occasions, but when he's dueling, he seems to be able to connect everyone to be able to how to smile and to be able to enjoy themselves in a duel. I mean, that's pretty much the reason why he takes up the mantle of being a duelist, takes up the mantle of being a duel-tainer like his father, but his own dueling strategy because his own pendulum methods. It's something that everyone needs to remember about what they need to remember themselves about, be able to learn how to smile, to be able to keep positive, and to be able to understand the purpose about why the game was made, the joy of the duel, the feelings, the happiness of the duel, being entertainment. It's pretty much about one of the main beneficial reasons, one of the main beneficial things about what needs to bring balance to humanity and bring balance to every person around the countryside, to be able to learn how to smile, to be able to learn how to be able to enjoy themselves, and to be able to have a good time, pretty much about all these things of the joy, the smile, to be entertained, to be, and they most now can be able to laugh about these moments, even though that Yuya sakaki, Yuya, in some duels, Yuya may have lost in some duels, but in reality, and the big point of this is that he was able to win the hearts of the people, be it to bring smiles to their hearts and to their faces. That's what's special about Yuya sakaki. And I'm blabbering now. I will post videos of Command & Conquer 3 Tiberian Wars, the non-campaign series, after this announcement. So this HexagonalSpy, the Spy, signing off for now.